Welcome, welcome. So if you're new to this channel, we are the home of all things ballroom dancing. And this is actually part 3 of a little mini series I'm doing on professional ballroom dance life. And today I'm going to go a little deeper into proam. And I'm talking about how we make money as professional dancers, because it is a real job. And a big part of teaching, if you're a championship level dancer or a higher level instructor, is we do proam. So similar to what you see on Dancing with the Stars, we compete with a student. So of course, early on in my career, I competed with my amateur partner from bronze all the way through championship level, ultimately internationally. And we turned pro. I actually had 2 professional partners. Those were my pro partners. And then after I taught for a while, I also had proam partners, meaning they were my students, and they would pay me to partner with them either in performances or competitions as their partner, kind of like you would do in a golf tournament. You would pay someone who's really much better than you to partner with you, and then you can kind of, as a team, get a better score, okay? So the cost varies quite a bit pro to pro, and generally it's just commensurate with the skill level of that professional dancer, okay? Some pros, many, offer cheaper prices if they bring a herd of students with them to the comp, because then you have an essentially economy of scale, because you're paid per student, you're paid per dance, and so these things kind of exponentially add up when you bring a cadre of students. Plus the comp gives you kickbacks, even if it's just in the form of scholarships for your students, if you bring a lot of students. So, for many pros, this is by far the highest part of their income, because you do make more competing proam than you would just teaching a private lesson. Although these people do take many private lessons as well. But essentially they're paying you to leave your family and your other students to go with them, and they kind of own you for that weekend to full week when you're out competing with them, which is fine. It should be that way. You really need to be dedicated fully to them so you can give them your best. So I did do a video on what it's like competing pro-am for the pro. I can put a link to that below. Some pros, as I mentioned in the previous video, are hired kind of on a retainer, where one student will hire them at just a salary that's very high for the year, and they will only teach that one student. I would caution pros from doing that, and reasons I shared at the other video, or just do that carefully. But most pros have many students that they teach, as well as many students they compete pro-am with, okay? And again, just like Dancing with the Stars, it's a teacher dancing with a student. And it is your partner. It's not a pro partner. It's a pro-am partner. So that's your teacher, that's your student, but you still are dance partners, okay? You could also just partner for performing at a local show, maybe in a dance studio, or a studio showcase, or often around town they'll have like a dance club that will have couples come in to perform. You also usually do proam at competitions either in town or usually out of town, even out of state. This day and age, they had a lot of competitions, outside of the country too. So you can kind of make a little vacation of it if you want to go somewhere on vacation. When you go to the competition, you do pay a pretty penny for that time. You're also set aside the money you're paying for your own loss of work if you're having to leave work to go on vacation somewhere. Your flights, you have to pay for your pros travel, their hotel. So these costs add up. So usually when students compete pro-am, they do many events. So if you're competing like open level, meaning or championship level amateur, you just go and you dance your 5 dances, multiple heats. If you make the heats, that's your comp. Proam is a little different. People tend to do many dances. Here's why. you're going to learn 10 times as much competing than you will in a lesson. It is very hardcore learning baptism by fire. And if you're going to pay all that money to travel somewhere, and probably that pro's making a base pay too, that's pretty hefty, you want to make it worth that investment. So if you just go out there and do 2 dances, is that really, what are you paying per hour? That's a lot. Also, no one's on their A game in that first round or 2 or 3. So those are kind of your throwaway rounds. So the nice thing when you get into the championship level is you usually have many rounds, and you kind of view those first rounds as warm up. But in Pro-Am, there's usually a few pros, many amateurs. So in a nutshell, you're often uncontested, or only up against a couple couples. So very rare you'd actually have callbacks and elimination rounds. So when you enter an event, that's it. You just get one shot at it, and you want to do your best. Guarantee when you first go out there, it's not going to be your best. It isn't for anyone though. So when that happens, don't feel bad. That's normal. Even in open pro, your first round is not so good. Just working out the kinks a little bit and the nerves, and seeing where the slick spots are on the floor and all that stuff. Okay. It's so expensive to do Pro-Am, not just for paying the pro to be there, because when you have an amateur partner or a pro partner, you just pay for yourself to go. But you also have to pay for more lesson time. Here's why. When you have that pro partner, or you're an amateur with an amateur partner, that person shows up for free, and you practice for free other than your floor fees, okay? With the pro, they don't practice with you for free. It's you're employing, them. You're paying them for a service. They don't work for free, so you have to pay for that practice time for private on top of private on top of private. So it's more expensive in that way too. I always wondered, because it was so much more expensive than competing amateur, like, why do people even do that? But now that I am more seasoned in this industry, I've come to learn that it is very hard for most people to find a partner at all, an amateur partner or a pro partner for that matter. In all honesty, it's even harder to find an amateur partner. So many people, if they want to compete, that's really their only option, which was kind of eye-opening for me when I saw how very many students could not find partners. Even if they had everything going for them, it's hard to find someone, that you agree on the same goals, that you're the right height, that they're, in your eyes, a commensurate skill level, appropriate age level, and you don't have as many of those limitations in Pro-Am. That person's going to be a great dancer, and the age doesn't matter. You're not in these age categories like you would be an amateur, where it's like, well, why is that old lady dancing with that young guy? There's none of that in Pro-Am. It's all mixed ages, and that's what the judges expect to see. It also, secondly, it requires a lot more time and hard work to grow as an amateur. Now, in my opinion, that is the best route if you want to ever get to the championship professional level, but it doesn't come easy. It's also, in my opinion, more challenging in terms of the interpersonal relationships, because there is a built-in power dynamic when you compete Pro-Am. There's someone that is the expert. There's someone that's the student. There's someone that is your client. So everyone has a very clear-cut role. When you compete amateur or even open pro, when you're both like the same level, it's a lot easier to butt heads, because you're both, feel empowered in the same ways. And it definitely, it's much easier to have harmony in that Pro-Am relationship. So I hope that's been interesting little insight into how Pro-Am works. There's more ways that we earn money as pros too, whether that's visiting kind of coaching opportunities, and maybe working on a cruise ship. So I'm going to post videos on that stuff too, because those are their own little interesting subcultures and ways we make money. So anyway, thanks for joining me today. If you enjoy, different aspects, learning about the ballroom dance world, hey, subscribe to my channel, and I hope you have an awesome day. Bye, guys.